Group dynamics, ceremony, and facilitation. So this is so much more than just, oh, how do you host a ceremony or how do you create a ritual? Like, yes, we go into all of that for sure, but I was really blown away by this course. I had very little to do with it except through reading. But it is so freaking good. I just really loved how, Lexi, how you created this whole lesson about the 5 stages of group development and talking about leadership styles and our energy dynamics within the groups and as leaders. And it just is so much more than the surface level of like, oh, here's how you host a circle and here's like how you light a candle. Like, you know what I mean? It just really takes these different forms of group dynamics, obviously, and and distills them down into these very practical things that we get to facilitate. And oh, okay, that's why it's important to consider XYZ, or what type of leader do I really want to be when I'm hosting this. So I'm going to hand it over to you, Lexi, to take it away.
Amazing. Yes. So, I think this is one of those courses where it was definitely a challenge to create, in the sense where I feel like a lot of what I do when co-creating or creating groups is something that I don't logically or consciously necessarily think about, and it just happens. So sort of like Vicky has explained in some of her own creations, I was like, okay, how do we break this down and really provide this roadmap for people to follow? And depending on the group experience they're leading to, because if you are doing a talk or a presentation or workshop, that is very different than hosting a ceremony with rituals inside of it. And so how do we speak to the greater topic of group facilitation, but also get really specific in the types of group facilitation that might be going on? And so that was a fun challenge to navigate. And then, it took some finagling to figure it out. But when it landed, I think that it really landed. And it's such a powerful guidebook to be a guide and to be a facilitator, because group work is truly unique. And of course, you can take some principles from one-on-one client work, but there is a whole different dynamic when you're working with not just one person, but there's a collective group, and it takes on an energy of its own. And so there's a lot that needs to be pointed out, and who you become as a space holder as well. And that leader, that facilitator, is a whole other dynamic and a whole new role that you might take on that you haven't been used to. And so there was a lot to cover inside of this experience. And I'm so excited for our group practitioners. And it's been incredible to see how they've transformed and how they've embodied the role as facilitator and leader, and what they've created inside of this container.
Confidence. That's one of the words that comes out when I see the practitioners who are taking themselves through this course. It is knowing that they've wanted to hold space, quote unquote, hold space, facilitate, lead in a group capacity, but maybe not either seen themselves as being capable of doing that. And it's the know-how that helps to create that confidence. I think if we can understand how even just a 1 hour session might roll compared to a 1 week retreat, knowing that kind of they're the same. There's still a beginning and a middle and an end. And this is why we brought ceremonies and rituals into this course, because there is an element of honoring that needs to happen for any container. Whether it's a short discovery call for someone who might even be a business coach or a graphic designer, like I feel as if we can carry an element of reverence and honoring of individuals having an experience through a simple or a very elaborate experience. We are contributing so much more power to that space. We are being even more responsible to that space. And that's an element that we've also embedded in one of the lessons is, what is your responsibility as a workshop host, facilitator, group leader? And then what is it that you need to expect from those people who are participating as well, whether it's one or many? whether you want to speak to, I don't know, 5 people in an intimate circle, or 5,000 people in a theater, and you are the one on stage, this is the thing that helps you to build the confidence, because you will feel competent after going through it. Yeah, I'm so glad that this is available, and it is no surprise that this was a really big group effort.